full-time MMA?
MMA.
Nothing
Yeah.
else?
My life, man, yeah.
Or is this full-time MMA now?
I love full-time MMA right now.
Back to the daily grind. Thanks for checking out the channel. Make sure to hit subscribe if you're new and hit thumbs up if you're not a baby back bagel biting bitch boy, cause you know what time it is. It's full time.
MMA.
Yo, Nate Diaz signed the contract, brother. Don't make us suffer through Conor McGregor versus Paulie McNoodles, please. Oh, I don't think that's gonna happen really, but come on, yo, the UFC, not even just the UFC, man. The world is putting the pressure on Nate Diaz because everybody I fucking in the know that I listen to, not that I talk to, but that I listen to, bro. All the podcasts, Daniel Cormier, Chael Sonnen, Michael Bisping, Ariel Helwani, Joe Rogan, you name it. Conor McGregor's camp, not their podcast, but just their statements. Everybody knows and is talking about the Nate Diaz Conor McGregor trilogy as being Conor's next fight. We know Dana White has guaranteed Tony Ferguson gets the Conor fight. He's next. He's got the interim belt. Hey, that's what happens here. All that Nate Diaz stuff is fake news. But it's not fake news. It's not. Mother freak. Oh. I mean, even Michael Bisping said you nailed it on the head whenever his co-host was saying, hey, I mean, Dana White's lied before. Come on. Did they alluded to the fact that they might be just putting pressure on Nate Diaz to, you know, not price himself out of the game? Because he said some shit like $20 million. Well, if Conor McGregor's going to fight somebody, man, he really can fight anybody. He's got options. He can fight Tony Ferguson. He can even fight Paulie McNipples up here, dog. Paulie's coach said hit, and Paulie really, you know what? Paulie really sounds like a fucking a clown in this video, bro. Like always, he's got his fucking clown shoes on, dog. Paulie McGaggles is saying, bro, listen to this. That's what we're going to talk about. Nate Diaz, you get the fucking point, bro. Sign the contract or you're getting skipped. I mean, that's the biggest fight possible to the casual fans, to the general public. If you want moms and popses and brothers and sisters buying the pay-per-view, you get Nate Diaz in there. Tony Ferguson is what the hardcore fans want to see. That is what we want to see. Who gives a fuck what we want to see? Let's be honest. If what we wanted to see is what always happened, then a lot of shit would be going different. But that's not the fucking point. If what we wanted to see mattered, Gegard Mousasi would be in the UFC. Rory McDonald. I mean, there's a lot of shit that's been going on that let you know it doesn't fucking matter. It doesn't matter. What the fuck? Well, how did The Rock used to say that shit? It doesn't. Okay, you get you get the point. But fucking Al Heyman, Paulie McDoodle's coach, has reached out to the Dana White to negotiate Paulie versus Conor in boxing because, of course, Paulie's not going to bring his balls to a real fight, a full fight, an MMA fight. No, he whenever you ask him about an MMA fight, he said, "Oh, that was never the question. That was never it. He's always been talking about boxing." And, you know, we know what would... No, he doesn't say we know what would happen, but we do know what would happen in an MMA fight. Paulie, though, he said would love a boxing match. And listen to how fucking corny he sounded, bro. So a fan... At first, check this out. I thought they were talking about CM Punk. You'll understand why. A fan asked Paulie McNoodles. He said, serious question. Do you ever see you and CM getting into the ring, or is there just too many complications? I was like, are they talking about CM Punk versus Paulie in the octagon? Yo, we might be on to something. But then I realized they're talking about Conor McGregor getting into the boxing ring. So, Paulie responded to ask the question, will you ever get in a boxing ring with Conor McGregor? And listen to this fucking pitiful response. It happens if he wants it. I'm going to stop right there. Oh, you know, yeah, I would love it, but it happens if he wanted it. So, like, he's not talking about coming out of retirement and fighting a boxer or nothing like that. This dude's only talking about fighting somebody if it's Conor McGregor, if it's in a boxing ring, if Conor McGregor wants it, because we all know who the motherfucking A-side is in that fight. Paulie would probably be like, compared to Conor, like, what, the C side? I mean, come on, let's get fucking real. Of course, if he wants it, it happens. If Conor McGregor wants anything, it's gonna happen at this point as far as his opponent. If Conor McGregor wants Canelo or Triple G, it happens. If Conor McGregor wants Tony Ferguson, it happens. If Conor McGregor wants Tyron Woodley, it happens. If Conor McGregor wants Max Holloway, guess what? It happens. If Conor McGregor wants Nate Diaz, it definitely fucking happens. So yes, Paulie, if it happens if he wants it. You are correct. It does happen if he wants it. But this is what he had to continue to say. I've spoken with my team. Like Mayweather, I am with Al Heyman. I know Heyman has reached to Dana White. So, yeah. Yeah, okay, so Paulie's saying, hey, if Conor McGregor chooses me, like what does Conor always say, man? All these bums are waiting on me to fucking choose them, pick them, and change their bum lives. Well, goddamn, that's the first thing I thought of whenever he said it happens if he wants it. Motherfucker, yeah, Paulie McGiggles. Come on, dog. Man. Anyways, back to Nate Diaz, but you get the point. Paulie, of course it happens. Of course they've reached out. Of course, this dude, and of course you've reached out. Al Heyman's reached out. Now, well, talk to me when Floyd Mayweather's talking about fucking coming out of retirement. I'll entertain that more than this Paulie McGoogle shit, unless he wants to bring his boss to a real fight. But other than that, man, now this is, but even though this isn't the UFC, this is still putting pressure on Nate Diaz, because now Nate Diaz knows Paulie's reached out. I mean, even he probably already realized that. He knows Conor McGregor has options, but Nate Diaz is holding his fucking cards tight. He knows Nate, I gotta admit, Nate Diaz, whoever the fuck is rocking with Nate Diaz, well, I know it's not Nick Diaz. I mean, he does listen to Nick Diaz, but I think he's probably got a fucking manager or a fucking somebody at this point. They're really fucking smart. Yo, they're holding their cards tight, yo. They're like, hey, Nate Diaz, the UFC needs you, bro. Fuck that. 20 million. Nate Diaz is probably like, yo, but Paulie, but Tony, come on, man. Y'all about to fuck this up for me. And they're like, Nate, they need you. This is going to be the worst fail ever whenever they tell Nate Diaz to hold out. The fight happens with Tony Ferguson, and God forbid Tony Ferguson wins, or it's just very possible. I'm just saying, if Tony Ferguson wins, and then they're like, Nate's like, no, you know that nigga's getting fired. Whoever the fuck's telling Nate Diaz to hold out and ask for 20 million, because you know they're getting a cut. These motherfuckers, I hope they got Nate Diaz's best interest at heart. I hope it's not just a case of a greedy manager that's trying to fucking, you know, nickel and dime, not even nickel and dime, that's trying to get over on the UFC because they know the UFC needs this fight, and it's not necessarily getting over on them. But if you're asking for too much money, bro, come on, the UFC can't pay Nate Diaz $20 million. So I'm sure they know that. You can't. It's got nothing to do, and it's not because Nate Diaz isn't worth it. It's because it's unheard of. Conor McGregor hasn't even ever made $20 million for an MMA fight, as far as to show up plus win money. Maybe Nate wants 10 to show, 10 to win, but god damn, that's insane to even think of. Conor hasn't got that. You're already probably gonna get pay-per-view points, I'm sure. I mean, Nate Diaz has put out that number, $20 million, but I don't think it was serious. Maybe they want 10 though. Even 10, think about it. I mean, it sets a precedent for the other fighters. I mean, you guys paid Nate Diaz $10 million because I know y'all needed that fight. So since I'm the champion, I know y'all need me. I'm holding out till you change my contract to Stipe Miocic or somebody. $10 million or I ain't fighting. What are they gonna do? Just like strip his belt and then the next, or Tyron Woodley? Oh, y'all want me to fight him? $5 million. Or y'all can strip me like y'all did him. Like, I mean, you guys gave Nate Diaz $5 million, man. I know. What do you mean? I already beat Nate. Oh my God! It just opens up a Pandora's box, a door that the UFC does not want open. Conor McGregor's already got that door cracked open. People are already looking at Conor McGregor's and all the money he's making. Like, hey, it's possible. But if you pay Nate Diaz, they're going to say, hey, no, fuck that. I need this. I need that. Run me that fucking check. So, with that being said, Paulie McNoodles' coach or managers reached out. Tony Ferguson's got the interim title. Nate Diaz, if you're going, you better make a move, my guy. I understand. Hey, it is what it is. Let the haters know what the fuck you tell man in the comments. I'm out. The dudes that hate on the full-time family are the type of dudes that get matching ankle tattoos with their girlfriend.
Bye, Felicia.